thank you so much. Well, look, thank you for the opportunity to actually come and say a few words at this conference. It's a conference which is very dear to my heart because I've been associated with Dr. Datta and certainly the Centre for Business Economic Research for many, many years, and have travelled overseas and indeed attended just about all of the conferences. So a little bit about myself for those who really don't know me at all. My background really is the fact that I've had a varied and very interesting past career in the public service. I've come from a military background. I spent 24 years in the military. I also, after that, I went into the police service.
Maximum 1 day extension करेंगे कल.
Hello. And then I decided once.
Hello, would whoever's not on mute, apart from David, please put yourself on mute. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Yeah, I spent a number of years in the police fraud squad, and once I left that, I turned that into a consultancy. And like Chris, I then dipped my toe into academia, which I thoroughly enjoyed. So I've been associated with quite a few universities. I developed master's programs for economic crime and global crime in particular. My speciality is global financial crime. And that's really the basis in which I wanted to write a paper today, because I've traveled to many, many countries, and the opportunity to bring light upon the link between maritime crime and piracy and Nigeria as one of the countries I've visited over the last 20 years on many occasions. So that's really my focus, and of course I'm saying that maritime crime within the Gulf of Guinea, and of course a focus on Nigeria's involvement. And when we're talking about Nigeria's involvement, it's merely an oversight into Nigeria's involvement in piracy and how it impacts on the social and security challenges in West Africa that have created the ideal condition for the Gulf of Guinea piracy to flourish. Now, things have moved away from Somalia because of the reaction of the world reaction and investment in that particular area. So the Gulf of Guinea now has become quite a hotspot. So we start by asking the question, where do most piracy attacks occur? And as of the 4th of November this year, it is recorded that the most pirate attacks have been committed in the Gulf of Guinea, in the Straits of Malacca and Singapore. But of course, in the last 5 years, between 36 and 48 attacks were carried out annually against ships in the Nigerian waters, and between 26 and 49 piracy attacks were committed in Indonesia waters in the same period. So what we are saying is, for the purpose of this paper, we focus on Nigeria. So it's fair to say that piracy is nothing new to Nigeria. But what is exceptional is the number and range of kidnappings has increased, with oil tankers, container ships and fishing boats at risk even up to a range of 210 nautical miles. Are we still there? I'm not sure what's happening here. I think something's.
Yes, we are fine. We can hear you.
Yes, someone shared the screen with me. That's all right. Okay, so the Nigerian waters remain hotspot for piracy, hitting the highest number of pirates attacks in the world in 2020 and 21. So the second question we must ask is, why is this so? Now, several factors influence why Nigeria has risen to the top of the recorded piracy list. And of course, one of the major reasons is that widespread corruption in Nigeria over many, many government administrations have had a single hold on the country, and therefore the natural development cannot move forward. The result is there is a lack of opportunity for the younger generation to aspire to be the building blocks for the future of Nigeria. Lack of implementation of workable government reform programs, and a lack of robust, fair, and workable judicial systems. This results, of course, in crimes of every nature, both on and off land, growing unrestricted. If we take the subject of corruption as a major issue, we see that the latest findings from Nigeria have indicated corruption as a major cause for piracy to flourish. This, coupled with weak legal and judicial systems, law enforcement, and the country's security agencies, it means that they are just not working. During my many visits to Nigeria, I have seen firsthand the lack of development in these areas that is attributed to and can also be identified in many of the Gulf of Guinea states. Corruption in Nigeria directly represents a threat to democracy when powerful individuals or organizations, particularly those linked to the military and security sectors, utilizing their positions to serve their own interests at the expense of the integrity. And of course, we're looking at the integrity of persons, authorities, institutions in charge of protecting the properties and assets of the country. It is with this that everyone suffers, and the future generations of Nigeria sees themselves growing up not having a level playing field that would give them a start in life. Historic corruption in Nigeria is a way of life. There's been no other. These persuasive practices also manifest themselves in matters of the sea, as evidenced by the Nigerian Navy, who have routinely engaged in oil bunkering. Public officials have also reported benefited from piracy in a multitude of ways, including engaging in corrupt practices that arise opportunistically when in producing and exporting oil in the Niger Delta, resulting in the disappearance of billions of dollars into overseas bank accounts of corrupt public officials and politicians. I'd just like to add at this point that a few years ago, I was involved with an investigation that actually uncovered 16 UK banks had received money from Nigeria amounted to $2.2 billion. And that was siphoned out of the system and was used to be sent to the UK for the purchase of properties in and around London. And that process is called smurfing because it's broken up into smaller amounts. Hopefully, they do that because they say that perhaps the authorities won't see it. So let me give you an explanation of what oil bunkering is all about and the value we're talking about. The Niger Delta is the most important oil producing region in Africa, with its oil producing 70% of Nigeria's government revenue. However, alongside the legitimate trade in the Delta oil products, there is a lucrative and organized illicit oil trade that reportedly loses Nigeria, wait for it, 200,000 barrels of oil every day. Participants in oil theft are also called oil bunkering, steal oil from the pipelines, refine the oil, and then sell it to the local, regional, and of course, the international markets. It is a very profitable criminal industry that cost the Nigerian government 3.8 trillion Nigerian naira, or indeed US dollars 105 billion. And that was a figure at 2017, so not long ago. The major current challenge now, of course, exists for a subject of research, which I hope to go one stage further in the future. And we'll be looking at a heading along the lines of the challenges in studying the association between corruption and piracy that will find the clear connections between corrupt officials and pirates, and in revealing whether piracy works primarily as an ad hoc event, short-term relationship between pirates, powerful organizations, and corrupt public officials, or if it is deeply entrenched in the wider governmental structures. So everyone recognizes, of course, that corruption is an antisocial attitude that towards improper privileges. Corruption in Nigeria is an everyday event and has been around since time immemorial. In 2019, Nigeria estimated to have lost over 400 billion to corruption. As an indicator, in 2018, the country was ranked 144th out of 180 countries listed in Transparency International's Corruption Index, with Somalia at 180th, of course, being the most corrupt, and Denmark the least. Also, Nigerian politicians find themselves in a strong position of power and wealth due to their connections with the oil and gas industry in Nigeria. These gas industries are under the control of the state-owned Nigeria National Petroleum Company. Oil and gas accounts for 90% of all Nigerian exports of revenue, while many politicians own or have shares in these industries. Tax revenues from the energy sector are diminished, and the benefits of Nigeria's energy wealth is not evenly distributed throughout the country, with, of course, Lagos State benefiting disproportionately. Oil and gas revenue therefore accounts for a vast majority of the federal budget and the salaries of government officials. Vote rigging by politicians, by political parties in elections is widespread, and corruption is endemic within government. Business arrangements and family loyalties, nepotism, dominate government appointments, paving the way for politicians, officials, and their business associates to together make up the ruling elite to ensure that they all become wealthy through behind the scenes agreements. It's not uncommon that many government employees received annual salaries of over $1 million. In the Western world, this salary is totally unheard of for a middle manager government official. Corruption runs through every level of Nigerian government, from massive contract fraud at the top through petty bribery, money laundering schemes, embezzlement, and seizing salaries from fake workers, ghosting. It is estimated that corruption within the state of Piracy costs the country billions of dollars every year. So we ask yet another question. How can the piracy problem be solved, or at best reduced to a manageable size, in order to protect maritime shipping in the Gulf of Guinea? Firstly, Nigeria must fix its home front social and economic problems like corruption that feeds the piracy issue and crime in general. It needs to put in place reform programs that cover the many corrupt government agencies, for example, the Nigerian prison, police, and judicial system being the starting point. From there needs to be a radical overhaul of the central government elite and those who work within that sector at all levels. Experience has shown that whilst with all good intentions, each administration has at least tried to do something whilst in office, they have failed to implement any positive change. History has also shown that since 1966 to the present day, every administration has suffered because of corruption, with corrupt case after corrupt case, damaging its reputation and therefore restricting any improvement. The result has been, after little resistance, business as usual, and has been the order of the day. So we come full circle. The question remains, what can be done to stop the rot? My personal view, based on my many travels to Nigeria over the past 20 years, is that given the historic and deep corruption practices, it will be extremely difficult to turn this around. International countries do not trust Nigeria, and therefore economic growth will continue to suffer because of this mistrust. Change must come from within, but trying to establish a trusted and, above all, a respected administration will take a monumentous effort. Old school Nigerian godfathers will try and stop any sort of reform. So perhaps a leap of faith by the world's international countries just might be the answer to kickstart the process. Nigeria's resources of oil and gas will not last forever. So what then? Coming full circle back to piracy. Many regional African states are reluctant to raise naval funding by giving competing priorities such as land-based threats. But as we heard earlier from Chris, the line is now becoming blurred between the water and the land. So, in fact, it must be addressed as one issue. For this reason, the Gulf of Guinea's maritime security will continue to be poor during the foreseeable future, despite the growing pressure from the global shipping industry for a more concerted regional and international response. Piracy has intensified following an attack on a Turkish container ship on January the 23rd, highlighting shipping companies' vulnerabilities to piracy in the Gulf. In this incident, 15 Turkish sailors were kidnapped and an Azerbaijani sailor was killed. And the raid notable for taking place further out to sea than most attacks. The ship boarded was more than 100 nautical miles northwest of the island nation of Sao Tome. So to finish, but to put a positive spin on the Nigerian piracy problem. Nigeria has only recently woken up to the problem and unveiled $195 million worth of boats, vehicles, and aircraft to spearhead their government's fight against piracy in the Gulf of Guinea. The equipment will enable security forces to patrol the waters of the country's coast more effectively and restore confidence to vessels operating in the area. Nigeria, of course, borders on an expanse of the Atlantic Ocean that's become the most perilous part of the world for sailors, accounting for almost all kidnappings at sea in recent years. Nigeria is restoring sanity to our waters, said Bashir Jamoa, Director General of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, which is coordinating the project. This, of course, is now through a program known as Deep Blue. The government deployed 2 special mission vessels, 2 aircraft, 3 helicopters, 4 drones, 16 armored vehicles, and 17 interceptor boats. HLS International, an Israeli maritime security company, of course, was responsible for procuring these assets, which will be operated by the Nigerian military. And to finally finish, in addition to projects like Deep Blue, the Nigerian government ultimately needs to tackle the roots of piracy onshore. Dryad Global said, through improving law enforcement and developing the economy. So my finishing statement is, the world is therefore watching to see how successful this initiative will be. Thank you very much indeed. Over to you, Chris.